From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. Mourners came together last night in a downtown Vancouver cathedral to remember the 11 people killed last weekend in a shocking vehicle ramming attack. The incident unfolded at a Filipino street festival marking Lapu-Lapu Day in what was described by Archbishop J. Michael Miller as an unspeakable tragedy, leaving the community grieving and deeply disturbed. The suspect in the case appeared hours earlier in a provincial court where a judge ordered a mental health assessment to make sure he's fit for trial. Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke to the media Friday for the first time since winning the federal election earlier this week. Carney said it was a hard-fought election, but now is the time for the country to resolve its differences and come together as Team Canada. He announced he would be naming his cabinet during the week of May 12th, adding that King Charles will read the throne speech on May 27th. He also confirmed a visit with U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says she has had a positive meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney. It was the first get-together for the pair, and Smith used the opportunity to warn the Prime Minister about any hostile acts that his new government might take against her province. She says fixing 10 years of anti-resource legislation and policies will take time, but the meeting was a positive first step. Out to the East Coast now, where Newfoundland and Labrador's Liberals will be picking a new leader and the province's next premier today in St. John's. Former cabinet ministers John Hogan and John Abbott are vying to replace the outgoing premier, Andrew Furey. Furey announced his resignation earlier this year after serving as premier for about 4.5 years. Both Abbott and Hogan stepped down to run for the party leadership. South of the border, public radio is being targeted for cuts by U.S. President Donald Trump. This week, he signed an executive order aimed at slashing public subsidies to NPR and PBS, alleging bias in the broadcasters' reporting. PBS President Paula Kerger says a loss in federal funding would hit audiences in rural communities the hardest.
There are many media organizations, some do really great work. We use the same tools, but we're in a profoundly different business. Our business is to provide content that is educational, and there isn't a lot of content that looks like us across the spectrum.
The Corporation for Public Broadcasting has pointed out that Congress controls its funding, not the president. The Trump administration has accused the public broadcasters of, quote, left-wing propaganda. And finally, overseas, where Israel has been blocking aid from entering Gaza for 2 months now, and it says no food, fuel, water, or medicine will cross the border until a system is put in place that gives it control over the distribution. Aid groups and officials from the United Nations say Israel's proposals are problematic, allowing military and political objectives to impede humanitarian goals, restricting who gets the aid, and forcing large numbers of Palestinians to move. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Winnipeg Jets playoff series against the St. Louis Blues is going to 7 games. Cam Fowler, Braden Shen, and Nathan Walker scored in a little over a 2-minute span last night as St. Louis beat the Jets 5-2. Winnipeg gets to host Game 7 tomorrow. The Toronto Maple Leafs will host Game 1 of their second-round series with the Florida Panthers Monday night. The NHL made the announcement late last night. The league also announced that the Washington Capitals will host the Carolina Hurricanes Tuesday, starting their series. The rest of the second-round schedule will be announced when it's available. Kevin Gausman will take his 2-3 record to the mound this afternoon as the Toronto Blue Jays continue their series with the Cleveland Guardians. Yesterday it was a 5-3 win over the Guardians for the Blue Jays' third straight win. And finally, play continues this morning in the second round of the CJ Cup. Byron Nelson, Scotty Scheffler finished the stormy day 1 at an 18 under for the tournament. Richmond Hill, Ontario's Taylor Pendrith finished on the bubble at 4 under. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.